Every serious incident on the road requires forensic examination.
We've got to start asking the question, why is this happening?
Pedestrians been struck in the coned-off area of this dual carriageway. The car has failed to stop.
And inside the cordons, dedicated officers take on this challenge.
Clearly, I don't think this came out of the factory sounding like that. This person's lost their life for whatever reason. We're trying to establish why.
And only now can I realise that that is actually in the middle of my lane.
Tracking down the evidence.
This is really important, this is key.
To get to the truth.
Once we've got somebody, that's going to put him in the driver's seat.
There's a death on the road, so we've got to be investigated properly and thoroughly.
This is a proper head scratcher, this is.
All in a day's work for the crash detectives.
Tango Whiskey to 1 priority. We have a vehicle failing to stop. A465 eastbound. Can only give you a partial index of Echo Victor Oscar of White Mitsubishi. Drive authority continue. Yes. Yeah, it's going to be a stand down. It's hit somebody in the roadworks. It's hit a road worker. No unit, he's ambulance on a Harrier. This male's got an open fracture to his leg.
Yeah, that's received.
A465 eastbound to Diga towards Evervale. WS, get this road closed, please.
Tango 01, just shut now so the helicopter can land.
Heli met on the ground.
As doctors treat a seriously injured man at the roadside, the car involved is nowhere to be seen.
We've had a report of a vehicle that's failed to stop for a police patrol vehicle, and in failing to stop, it's hit a worker on the road. All we have at the moment is potential serious injuries, and we're searching for the vehicle.
While this is all going ahead, I'll have a look at the footage.
We have to try.
And they're starting with a recording from the patrol car's dash camera.
Okay, so that's it there.
Yeah.
But it's got a really loud exhaust on it, and the number plate's running italics, so you can't actually read the number plate properly. It hasn't read on here. At this point, we can see it's gone. It's going that fast, it's gone.
Nothing I do opposite with the vehicles, eh?
No.
But traffic cameras also cover this stretch of road.
Go ahead.
And officers have been trawling through the footage.
Just to let you know, we're having a little bit of success, not with the range, but with the vehicle itself. It is most definitely a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 8 in white. It would appear it's come off immediately after it's failed to stop. The cameras don't show it coming through after that.
Yeah, okay, I suspect that's probably what it's done, but yeah, cool, thank you.
Local searches for vehicles matching this description are now urgently underway. The 24-year-old man who's been injured is now stable enough to be taken to hospital.
So you're going in the ambulance as opposed to the helicopter, yeah? Okay. Yeah, you can go. Cool, thank you.
As you can see, what we have is a two-lane section of dual carriageway. So they coned off this down to one lane, with the right-hand lane being the live lane, the lane where the traffic is moving. And we've got a road worker working in the lane that's coned off. It appears that a vehicle has entered that coned off area and struck a road worker before making off and failing to stop.
So the casualty's going to go in the ambulance. It's not going to go with the helicopter now.
Do you know what's his injuries?
So he's got an open fracture to his tib and his fib.
Okay.
He has got head injuries as well, but they're not concerned about those.
So they're saying move off in about 5 minutes. He remembers everything. He wasn't knocked out at any point, so he's still fairly compos mentis now with all the drugs.
You got an account from him?
No. Do you want me to try and get one?
Yeah, I got no issues with that. He may be able to tell us something that we don't know.
Hello, sorry, me again. Before you move off, am I able to just have a quick chat with him just to see if he remembers anything at all?
Our guy, probably, he's a leaf blower, so he's blowing the leaves. The guy that was struck, that's his machine.
Right.
I don't want to cause you any more trauma, but can you remember roughly what happened?
I was just blowing in the road, and I could hear this noise, and as I looked up, then I could see this white Mitsubishi Evo coming at me, and I didn't have time to do anything, and it hit me then.
Was he struck in the coned off lane, or was he in the live lane?
In the coned off lane.
He was in the dead lane.
Yes.
Right.
All I could see was it driving up the dead lane.
And do you remember which part of the car hit you?
As I looked at the car, the right-hand side.
Okay, so like the passenger side, yeah?
This belongs to him.
So is this where he was laying?
Yeah, he was sat down when the guy saw him.
Okay, mate, I'll leave him to get you down to hospital, okay? You're in good hands. Thanks, guys. Yeah, he's saying he was working about a metre or so away from the solid white line, blowing the grass. He can hear a loud noise, looks up, and a white Mitsubishi Evo, as he's described it, has been travelling. Has been travelling down the dead lane. He said he wouldn't. The Evo wouldn't have come to anybody else first. He was the first person that it would have come to, and he hasn't had time to get out of the way. It's hit him. He couldn't tell you which way it went. It was just travelling at speed.
The driver might have fled this scene.
Where's the debris?
A little bit for there.
But it's not been the cleanest of getaways.
Under that one. Under that one. A couple of parts suspect from the vehicle. We put it into the cones as we knew the helicopter's landing.
Yeah, it's fine. There's another bit of trim there, possibly. Looks a bit possibly around the front of the bumper, is it? That's the near side door mirror of a white vehicle. I suspect it's a white Mitsubishi, so the colour is correct. We've got quite a bit of debris from the vehicle. That's typical of an incident like this, where debris from a vehicle is deposited along the road as it's made off. Ideally, what I'd like to identify is the point of where the road worker was struck. The fibre there seems to match some clothing. The scratch and scrapes here, the start here, you've got a definite mark running through here. There, look. So that could be where he stood, a deposit of grass or whatever. But that suggests to me the evidence for debris we got on this mark here that it is relatively local. He's been spun around and caught his leg. We will find out which leg it is now. Which leg is it? Left leg. He said he had his back to the traffic. Yes, be right, his left leg then.
Southwest Police, what's your emergency?
Oh, hi, I've just had a phone call to say that my car has been seen flying down the A465.
Right, okay, and how long ago was this?
I've just had a phone call now. I'm not at home.
So is your car stolen or something, is it?
Well, it must be, love, yeah.
So who rang you?
My friend, my mate, he said mate, you want to slow down in that car? I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you need to slow down. I said, I haven't got my car back.
And what type of vehicle is it?
It's a Mitsubishi Evo.
What colour?
White.
So what's the registration number of the car?
It's S5 Evo.
But what I need you to do, I need you to go home and just verify that the car isn't there.
Someone in Merthyr just reported their Mitsubishi Evo is white, stolen. Foxtrot 5, Echo Victor Oscar. Said that it's been stolen and a friend has told him they've seen it on the A465.
Roger, that is all received.
South Wales Police.
Oh, hiya. I rang a little bit earlier on to say I think my car's been stolen.
Okay.
I've come home now and my car's definitely got off my drive.
Officers are on their way now to check that out, to confirm whether it's the vehicle we're looking for or not. Yes, please, bud.
Better days, better days. I've had a couple of months, to be fair, yeah.
What's happened, bud? How can we help you?
Well, my car's gone, mate.
So what time or what's happened as far as you're concerned then?
Me and my missus split up. We've split up now for a couple of months. It's been amicable, but it's not been, it's not been
the best.
He says they still share the same house, and that morning had an argument about selling the car.
I went out then about 10:30, and then obviously when I come back in, the car's gone off the driveway.
But a second officer has been carrying out further inquiries.
My life has been, well, I don't know about her, but my life has been upset.
Anthony, I've obviously just spoke to your neighbour. You're captured on the Ring doorbell.
Right.
Getting in the car, leaving. You return without the car. So, to us, obviously your car was on the drive. You've left in the car's not come back here.
Right.
At this time, but long and short of it, you're going to have to come to the police station. But there's been a serious collision up on there involving your car and a road worker, as far as I'm inferred. Okay, you're going to have to come to the police station with us. You are under arrest at the moment on suspicion of causing serious injury by dangerous driving. Okay, we'll put them on in front of you.
Yeah.
So
Cool. How long will this take down the station?
It's a good shout on his Ring doorbell. He's making everything go wrong. 263 drafted.
263, go ahead.
Yeah, in relation to our arrest attempt, there's evidence of him getting in this vehicle at the material times. He's given us a story which is completely different to that.
Yeah, Roger, I'll let the film know then.
Right, do that then. Made an arrest.
We made an arrest.
Go for the address. And a near neighbour or someone nearby puts him in the car, leaves his address.
Excellent.
Hello, what have we got?
One in for causing serious injury by dangerous driving. Obviously.
But overnight, he's had some time to reflect. And is now admitting to being at the wheel.
Okay, right, you're in the car.
Yeah.
What's going on? What happened?
Basically, I'm just driving like I normally do. I'm a really careful driver. And I thought I'd seen like a police car up on the hill, but I wasn't sure. Then it dawned on me, and the car ain't insured. I wasn't like escaping from the police. I just thought, try and get the car home and then deal with it afterwards. Like,
Well, you were trying to escape because you're in the car, but yeah, go on.
Yeah.
What's happened then?
As I'm coming down, what I'm thinking now is, obviously that's a closed road. because as I've gone in, a cone has hit my wing mirror. I'm panicking then and I've damaged my car. Then I've had like another impact, thinking I've hit another cone because it was just this wing mirror's gone. And then obviously I'm more panic again because I just sort of got off then as quickly as I can. That's when I phoned the police then and reported it stolen.
Right, so it wasn't stolen?
Obviously no.
What we didn't have at that point is the whereabouts of the car. So the inquiries were still ongoing.
So where did you actually park the car?
I parked the car up in Pound Stretcher and then just parked it in the middle of the car park.
It wasn't until we had an initial interview that the driver admitted that he had parked the car in a local car park and then walked home.
No.
Can I have like a couple of minutes to speak to my sister?
I think we're finishing now. I think we are finishing. Yeah, unless there's anything you really want to tell us.
Can I speak to him first?
With officers en route to retrieve the car, he now wants to change his story.
I parked the car in Pound Stretcher. I've walked off from the car. And then I thought, I can't leave my car here. It's a £50,000 car. So I've gone back, got my car. There's a lane. So I've just put the car up there.
He's trying to hide it, isn't he? It's tucked away. He's put the front end of the vehicle into the banking. Doesn't look from the rear that it's been involved in a road traffic collision whatsoever, but obviously as we look a bit closer we can tell that it has.
What damage was on the car then when you left it?
This is why I'm shocked that someone got hit, right? Because obviously my two wing mirrors are gone.
Two with both sides?
The one is glass missing. The one is gone. And then there's a dent in my wing, passenger side.
It's not even proper bodywork, it's all filler.
And my splitter's hanging off.
First thing I noticed was this carbon fibre on the front that looked exactly like that was left at the scene.
But there's no like bumper damage, no bonnet damage, so like for me thinking if I'd hit someone there would be a lot more damage than that.
This type of impact, it's very much on the corner of the car, it's a glancing blow.
Yeah.
But even so, when you look at the severity of the dent that's in that wing there, and then you've got a dent in the A-pillar here as well, which the upper part of his body or his torso, even his head may have contacted.
Yeah.
That's a structural part of the car. And to put a dent in that, it takes some doing. There's a crease in there which has been caused when the wing mirror has been forced against the pedestrian and slammed back into the door, and you can see the mark on the mirror, and there's fragments of glass in there as well.
Obviously this doesn't marry up with a cone at all, does it?
Certainly not. There's no evidence that he struck a cone on this side of the car at all.
The damage caused in the collision is clear to see. But the appearance of this car is now raising questions about what might be hiding under the bonnet.
The Mitsubishi in itself, it's a quick car. For the car's age, it was probably considered to be one of the fastest cars on the road at the time, as a normal saloon car.
So, it's an Evo 8, 2004 manufacture. It's not exported, so it's a British car.
But what he had done is added modifications to the vehicle to greatly enhance the vehicle's performance. So what we needed to do is get a qualified vehicle examiner to have a look at the vehicle, to examine the vehicle.
That's an aftermarket inlet manifold, aftermarket exhaust manifold, all of this, all of the stuff around the turbo, and which is the bit that forces the air into the engine, is being replaced and upgraded. All the modifications were very much about speed and acceleration. That's not cheap. putting that vehicle down the road as quickly as possible. If we start it, what brake horsepower is it?
It's an FQ 330, so it's around 330 brake.
FQ 330 brake horsepower?
Yeah.
While brake horsepower is an indication of how much power an engine produces,
ready?
There's something not quite adding up about the figure he's quoting.
Hello world, and welcome back to Accelerate, and welcome to Anthony's almost 900 brake horsepower Evo.
We know that the driver was invited along to do a feature on his car.
This is what all the time cars use. Right.
It was posted on YouTube 2 days before this collision.
And it was recently, like I said, he hasn't had it back long. It was dynoed at just under 900 horsepower.
The driver, during an interview, had suggested that the car had a power output of around 330 brake. But in reality, when you looked at the video, he'd suggested quite clearly a very different figure.
This is by far the most powerful car I've ever been in, so let's get out on the road, shall we?
So does it reveal any more about the driver himself?
Especially on a day like today, it is raining, and Anthony's attitude is just, this is what they're built for, so we're still going to have some fun.
You can hear the car brake traction as all 4 wheels spin up. So if you listen now, you can hear the car's broken traction, and that's why you hear that it hit the limiter, basically hit the rev limiter of the engine.
Oh, I imagine this video is just going to be me giggling like a schoolgirl, but that was second gear, it just spanned then, didn't it? It
just spins, but the thing's insane.
Yeah.
Second gear, it just spanned.
It lit the wheels up. He's putting all that power in, but he's got one hand on the wheel, one hand on the gear stick. Yeah, it can go wrong very quickly and he won't be in a position to do a lot about it.
The passenger's having to grab the seatbelt. He's obviously
maximum acceleration, trying to get maximum performance out of it for the effect.
Even in fourth then, it's wrenching my stomach.
Turn to stomach, yeah, it's a brutal car, like it is.
I say hats off to you, like in this ride, even in my car, I wouldn't be pushing any of my cars in this.
It's like my mate there, he's been in loads of fast cars, and I picked this up the other day and we went out and he was like, he'll tell him, he said, just slow down bro. He said, I looked at your clock, you're going 175 miles an hour, like, he said, just slow down.
175. Whether you believe him or not, he's telling people he's doing 175 miles an hour.
I've never driven that car in anger, you know what I mean? That car is my everything, like, you know what I mean? Even when I take it on a track day, it's looked after, you know what I mean? It's never been hammered, it's never been sort of used and like abused like some performance cars are.
The worrying thing about it is when I did the examination of it, the actual condition of the vehicle, there was a lot of damage that had been caused to it, and quite clearly that damage had been caused by the way in which it had been driven as well. A lot of the suspension mounts were very worn or were damaged. It's easy to see if it's been driven consistently in this sort of manner, the reasons why that damage may have been there. If I pulled that car over on the side of the road as a normal traffic stop, realistically I probably wouldn't have let it go because of the damage and some of the faults that I'd found with it.
And on the day of the crash, officers parked by the side of the road did attempt to pull the car over. The camera on the patrol car couldn't read the number plate, and this raised suspicion. Despite reaching speeds of 131 miles an hour, the Mitsubishi is out of sight. But this wasn't the only camera recording at the time.
There was a car being driven through the scene, member of the public minding their own business, that was fitted with dash cam both in the front of the car and out through the rear window. You see the Evo pass it now, and he's braking. Goes off at the intersection, and the witness This car carries on.
I only noticed the police car, like, in the distance, flashing lights as I went up onto the turn off for Triga. But that was the point where it dawned on me that my car wasn't insured and this police officer is probably coming after me.
So he decides to rejoin the dual carriageway.
So obviously I've needed to overtake the lorry, so I've gone into like what would be the hard shoulder.
You'll see the Mitsubishi ducked into the closed lane, taking the cones out as well. And then we lose sight of it. You see a patrol car now pass as well on the inside. Now the patrol car comes to a stop because the injured person, as you can see, is at this point he's sat up in the road, having been struck by the Evo.
What's said to you when you're doing your driving licence?
Only use the hard shoulder for emergencies.
Okay, so what do you use it for?
But at the time that was an emergency for me. I believed that was an emergency for me. So, you know, putting myself back there, that was an emergency for me.
What did you class as the emergency?
No insurance on my car. My £50,000 car getting taken off me. Having it impounded, getting dragged onto a lorry, you know, all that.
But he's still denying hitting the road worker.
If I knew I hit someone, I would have stopped immediately. And that is the God's honest truth. Like, I'm not a bad person.
We were confident that vehicle had struck the road worker, but we needed that tiny bit of evidence to actually prove the contact.
While the driver left components of his car at the scene, he failed to realise he'd also taken some of the scene away with him.
Look at that, mate.
Oh yeah.
Got fibres there. Orange fibres?
Orange fibres, yeah. Look at that.
They were a match to the trousers being worn by the road worker.
What do you think now?
That he must have obviously hit that person.
This young man who's trying to make a living, on that point his life changed forever. He'll never be the same again. Ultimately his significant injury is going to affect the way he lives the rest of his life.
The driver admitted causing serious injury by dangerous driving and perverting the course of justice.
Obviously someone's been hurt because of my actions, and it's absolutely made me feel sick, and it's just ruined my day, to be fair.
He was jailed for 3 years and 4 months, and the car has now been sold.
His arrogance got the better of him, I think. And his obsession with the car probably clouded his judgment to the detriment of this young man.
Every serious incident on the road requires forensic examination.
You've got to start asking the question, why has this happened?
Pedestrians been struck in the coned off area of this dual carriageway. The car has failed to stop.
And inside the cordons, dedicated officers take on this challenge.
Clearly, I don't think this came out of the factory sounding like that. This person's lost their life for whatever reason. We're trying to establish why.
And only now can I realise that that is actually in the middle of my lane.
Tracking down the evidence.
This is really important, this is key.
To get to the truth.
Once we've got somebody, that's going to put him in the driver's seat.
There's a death on the road, so we've got to be investigated properly and thoroughly.
This is a proper head scratcher, this is.
All in a day's work for the crash detectives.
scene. We've got severe head trauma. Injuries are believed to be life-threatening. Paramedics requested, air ambulance attend. It's a motor vehicle and it's looks like it's been in collision with an electric scooter.
The rider of the e-scooter is a 26-year-old man who is now fighting for his life.
So you're the driver of that Corsa, yeah? You're the passenger?
2 people were travelling in the blue Vauxhall Corsa.
Can I sit in my car a second? Alright, let me take a seat in there.
The 18-year-old driver now needs to explain.
You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you fail to mention when questioned something that you may later rely on in court, and anything that you do say may be given in evidence.
The time is 2:31, off at a Sirius on 4042 Newport northbound. We've got some torches. Let's go. As we've got there, the scooter rider was still being treated by the ambulance and the paramedic staff.
I gather you've had information on what's happened.
Yeah, we've had a bit. Yeah, we've had a bit. That particular scene was very busy. There was lots of people. Is there a Saab somewhere?
SIO's up there.
There was lots of vehicles still within the scene. We still had evidential marks on the carriageway. See, this is a problem now. The thing is, we've got an active scene, we've got people walking through it. We had to be very careful of controlling where people were standing, where they were walking. Can we just make sure that nothing else moves now? Right, perfect. Yeah. Nice one. All right, thanks, Paul. So this is a point where we need to start being considerate of like scrape bins, and it's not to necessarily say there are any.
Yeah,
but there's always the potential. Those types of marks for us are the really essential bits of information that can help us piece together exactly what's happened. Hey, Sarge, right?
Everything right? I've never seen anyone's socks come off. Maybe shoes.
Okay, so we've got socks, a bit of blood on. Got the back wheel of the scooter. Yeah, certainly looks okay. So that was the primary thing for us to concentrate on when we got there, is just having that step back and trying to take all of it in. I'll have to give it a trim or something, like a grill or something maybe. Yeah. Until we work out, oh, it's a Corsa, is it? And then, awesome, let's hit it. And then identify, well, what can I see? What have I got in front of me? And what am I expecting to see based on the circumstances of the collision? The damage to the vehicle sort of started at the front near side corner, around the bumper area, and it basically just extended across the bonnet, into the windscreen, into the roof line, and even across the top of the roof. Wow. But you could see, with the amount of damage caused to the vehicle, just how much intrusion into that passenger cabin there would have been. That really kind of pointed towards how the collision had occurred between the scooter rider and the car. You've got marks there, look. If you actually see it now. We started to identify those bits of evidence that were important. We saw bits of vehicle trim. We also found sort of the rear plastics of the scooter. And we actually started to find fragments of the structure of the rear wheel that had been scattered across the road surface. We found a sock that was in the carriageway. We saw bits of jewellery. We were then able to identify a shoe that was in the central reservation. And a second shoe, which was actually the other side of the opposite carriageway, which was the matching shoe. It just went to show how things had just been thrown to such a distance and such a degree because of the forces involved.
Let me just walk out of earshot a minute. So there's still some members of the public about. I'm not sure if they passed it over the channel, but they stopped treating him.
Do we know who he is yet?
Not yet, but as soon as we can get any sort of ID to him, we obviously need to get a message to his family without somebody else getting to them first.
Can't get an ID on him yet. I've searched and found no ID on him.
I was aware that my colleagues were struggling with identifying the rider of the scooter.
There's a McDonald's hat about 50 metres off the roundabout. Yeah.
There was a cap that was actually in the carriageway. It was a good 400 or 500 metres prior to the actual collision scene. Some of my colleagues were off doing inquiries with some of the local McDonald's restaurants, and we were able to subsequently identify him as part of those inquiries.
With efforts underway to track down his family, officers now needed to know just how he was struck as he travelled along this stretch of road.
When we got to the collision scene, the scooter itself was actually wedged underneath the front near side corner of the car. It had remained in situ, nobody had moved it, and I don't think that anyone would have been able to move it because it was jammed pretty tight underneath the car. There was two distinctive areas of damage that were identifiable on the scooter, one of which was the end of one of the handlebars, and another was the edge of the footplate. And when you looked at the damage to the scooter, you could then look at, well, if that damage has been caused in that way, there must be a mechanism for that damage to be caused. So we then went back through the scene very slowly and were able to identify a bit of a dark transfer mark from the damage to the end of the handlebar, but also some sort of metal grindings which had been caused by the edge of the scooter as the car had basically sat on top of it and ground it into the road surface as it came to rest. Both of those marks were really helpful in identifying the path of both the scooter and the car post-collision.
So realistically, if they're going at national speed limit speeds, our point of impact's probably behind Justin's car, I would have thought. Or possibly anyway.
One of the first things that we look to identify is the point of impact. But this particular collision, the point of impact wasn't immediately obvious. The fact that there was an e-scooter on a restricted dual carriageway was quite a strange circumstance to be in. So my thoughts were, well, if there is an e-scooter on that particular stretch, I was assuming it would be as close to the side of the carriageway as possible. But we then started considering some of the other marks that had been left by the vehicles.
That's kind of a distinctive.
When we first saw it, it was quite a distinctive S-shaped mark.
That looks fresh.
It was quite light in colour and didn't really match what we thought had happened initially.
but would he be in the middle of that? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's an ask, isn't it, to be in, you know, we're questioning the sense in riding up here in the dark, but you wouldn't be in the middle of the lane, would you? It just doesn't seem to make sense, does it? No. Why would he be
there?
But when we were able to piece it together with all of the other evidence, it became obvious that that mark had actually been where that scooter rider had been at the point that he was struck. It identified that the scooter rider had been travelling almost up the centre of lane 1 of a 70-mile-an-hour dual carriageway.
At the scene of the crash, the rider's scooter remained trapped underneath the car. But now it's been recovered, and Matt wants to take a closer look.
The main bit of damage is obviously the section at the rear. This would have been the very first bit that got struck by the car. But then you can also see that there's a lot of damage and kind of force that has been applied to this brake disc, causing it to be warped out of position. And you've also got, this is the remnants of the wheel itself that's been sort of broken into pieces, and that's also been compressed and has effectively fractured because it's been put under so much force. We'd found parts of the rear wheel sort of scattered across the carriageway, but I wanted to satisfy myself that the marks that I'd found were as a result of the initial collision. It's obviously going to be impossible to tell whether that light was working because the actual light itself is missing.
Yeah.
But the cabling is present, so it would appear to be, or it's conceivable that it was working. Obviously we're never going to know that, but... Remember that S shape and we were like, that doesn't look right to me. There it is. That is where the car has collected the scooter and basically just pushed the whole scooter down into the ground. And then that S shape is going to be a combination of the car's motion and the scooter being kind of just like...
Yeah, because it's ended up under,
yeah, exactly. Now we found that.
Yeah.
I'm 100% happy that that is what's caused that mark, definitely. I'll just try and power it now. We were still able to power it up, and when we did that, one of the very first things that came up on the display was the fact that it was in sport mode. He's up the top limit at 19 miles an hour.
This little light here.
That setting alone would suggest that it was very much feasible that the scooter rider could have been travelling at 19 miles an hour on the dual carriageway.
But speed is only part of this inquiry.
This is an identical version of the scooter that was involved in the collision that we've actually purchased to do some testing. It's really important for us to try and understand not only the collision itself, but the lead up and how this scooter would have worked for the person that was riding it at the time. I think they can be quite an appealing mode of transport. They're battery operated, you know, you can plug them in, they're charged in a couple of hours, and they don't take any effort. You can effectively press go, and as long as you can balance on it, you can use it. Braking is very simple, so very much like a bicycle brake.
But there are strict rules around exactly where these scooters can be used.
Some of the big cities are still running trials in relation to e-scooters, but in anywhere else but those trials, these scooters can only be used legally on private land with the landowner's consent. There's a stone then. That's obviously got solid tyres as opposed to pneumatic tyres. So how does that feel to ride?
It accelerates quite fast. Seems any little deviation you really feel. My back wheel went over a stone earlier and the back end was off the surface for half a second, and it felt as if I was going a bit faster, I think the back end would have gone. When you go to turn, I don't think I'd want to turn sharply. I'm going to pull the brake now when I get to the end. It'll kick in quite fast, but emergency brake on this, I think my foot would have to go on the floor. I wouldn't feel comfortable riding when on a road. I think if a car put me under pressure, come too close to me or something like that, and I swerved, I think it would be very easy to lose.
Yeah.
To lose it.
Lose control of, yeah.
So if they haven't been hired within official trial areas, the law around privately owned scooters is clear.
Those scooters are illegal to use on the roads. They're illegal to use on pavements. They're illegal to use anywhere that the public have access. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand that and don't realise that. But not only are they illegal, they make for very vulnerable road users.
Can we have that?
Yeah, it's that. Test scooter, line it up. It'll be a good representation of, you know, what it would have looked like as the car is at the scooter. One of the first things we'll often do is we will try and put the vehicles back together to try and work out their orientations just at that point of impact. It explains an awful lot as to how that damage has been caused, doesn't it? So I think what we'll do, if we move it out.
Yeah.
If you stand on that. Oh mate, that's awesome. So if you were like, as if you were riding.
So it'd be more like.
Yeah, that's better. So what we've done here is Bonnie's just helping just to kind of recreate the position of the scooter rider. It gives just an idea about where the knees would roughly be in relation to the front of the car, and then obviously as the car has struck the rider and the scooter, just exactly where the body would be thrown backwards onto the car and effectively up the bonnet and into the windscreen. You can see the damage is not just the front edge of the roof as well, it's actually creased right the length of the skin.
Shows it, doesn't it, then?
Like that from the side. That's what it would look like at the point of impact. We don't have any direction changes from the point at which the damage starts. And everything that we can see so far would suggest that the vehicles, we only use the term vehicles for the scooter as well, were in line as they've struck. That would kind of suggest that the vehicle isn't swerving at the point at which it's collided. All the evidence that we could find when we did the refit suggested that the car had just driven into the e-scooter. The driver had taken no avoiding action. So that was definitely an element to try and work out, well, why was that the case? Right, lights then. So Fred, headlights working because they're on. The fundamental inquiry for us was all about view and vision. Full beam? Yeah, they're fine. Fogs on the front. I'd actually driven that stretch myself in my personal car, and I'd even driven that thinking, at night, there seems to be plenty of visibility. I couldn't understand why the driver of that car hadn't had tens of seconds of view, even travelling at 70 miles an hour. And based on that, the decision was made to try and reconstruct the collision.
Right, we're just starting to close off the designated filter lane now.
Okay, mate.
So they're putting a full closure on.
Full closure both sides.
The team are now back at the scene of the crash at the same time of night.
We've organised for the road to be closed, and then we've also then sourced a similar vehicle to the subject vehicle that was involved. At the point of impact, I think the car has literally just gone straight on top of the scooter, pushed the scooter down into the ground, and has basically stayed on top of the scooter, grinding it into the carriageway, basically. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Although it's quite small, it's quite bright. It may be different a bit further back, but that's the whole idea of bringing it tonight. We've also then taken the clothing that he was wearing at the time, which allows us then to sort of visually reproduce what the rider looked like from the rear. We've tried to replicate the conditions as closely as possible to investigate exactly what the scooter looked like as it was travelling down the road. So working on the idea that the car could have been travelling at 70 miles an hour, and the fact that the scooter rider could have been travelling at 15 or 19 miles an hour, we then set out a series of cones at the positions those vehicles would have been at 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 seconds prior to impact. Ready?
Yeah. So start.
Jump on, Squire. So if you go back to 5.
Yeah, okay, and work forward.
And we'll work forwards. See, with nothing else, no other light pollution. That's clear as day, isn't it? The big difference would be when we put that here, full beam headlights on. You're ready for me, mate,
Yes, I'm ready for you now.
Red 2 then, Chris, please. The final piece of this inquiry will be us videoing the approach to the point of impact. Right, you ready?
Okay.
Start that. Okay, so we're at full beam. So we're just going to head towards the point of impact now at around sort of 10 miles an hour, just to give a visual representation. And all I can see at the moment is that small red light. It's any different to the road surface. Still can't see anything. I can just about now see the design on the back of his jacket, and only now can I realise that that is actually in the middle of my lane. And only now has he sort of come into really crisp view. Wow. I knew what I was looking for, and it was not until fractions of a second prior to that point of impact that I was able to identify him for what he was.
Thank you, mate. I think that's us now, but...
This footage was captured at a speed of just 10 miles an hour. But on the night of the crash, the driver said they'd been travelling at 70 miles an hour, when all of a sudden, they hit something.
It's not until we did the reconstruction that we appreciated, because it was a very gentle left-hand bend, the small red light on the back of the scooter almost blended into the red cat's eyes on the edge of carriageway. It was not until you got very close that that red light actually stood away from those cat's eyes. The design on the back of his jacket was a circular design, and it was quite distinctive, but unfortunately there was a circular sign on the edge of the carriageway, and that just served to blend him into the overall environment of the collision scene, which again made it even more difficult for the driver of the car to identify him as a hazard. Under no circumstances would you expect to see an e-scooter in the middle of lane 1 of a dual carriageway in the dark.
No charges were brought against the 18-year-old driver.
I can imagine it was a very traumatic experience, and probably still continues to be so.
Investigations revealed that the 26-year-old e-scooter rider was almost 2.5 times the drink drive limit.
Intoxication maybe answered a lot of questions as to why he ended up being in the position and the circumstances that he found himself in. As sad as it is, it was that scooter rider's decision which ultimately resulted in his death.
Every serious incident on the road requires forensic examination.
You've got to start asking the question, why has this happened?
Pedestrians been struck in the coned-off area of this dual carriageway. The car has failed to stop.
And inside the cordons, dedicated officers take on this challenge.
Clearly, I don't think this came out of the factory sounding like that. This person's lost their life for whatever reason. We're trying to establish why.
And only now can I realise that that is actually in the middle of my lane.
Tracking down the evidence.
This is really important, this is key.
To get to the truth.
Once we've got somebody, that's going to put him in the driver's seat.
There's a death on the road, so we've got to be investigated properly and thoroughly.
This is a proper head scratcher, this is.
All in a day's work for the crash detectives.
Hello, ambulance.
I don't know if you're aware of it, but we've got an RTC.
Any casualties at all?
One is unconscious, and the other we haven't got an update on at the moment.
If we leave everything literally where it is now, alright, so you got it as a scene.
Yeah.
So driver's critical?
Yeah. They say there's critical life care. Passenger there, severe injuries but not as critical.
Okay.
As medics at the scene of this crash treat 2 seriously injured men,
Is there anything in there that says who he is?
officers are now trying to find out who they are.
Nothing in pockets or anything in there, is there?
And people living nearby describe being first on scene.
Tell me what's happened, bud.
I was in bed, my girlfriend woke me up and saw someone's crashed outside. Then I could smell obviously the petrol then. I seen the gentleman there. And honestly, I didn't see this guy until you come closer because there's no street lights there, like none at all.
As you can see, it's the motorcycle has actually collided with the pillar and gate. and the extended stone wall of that section. Absolutely decimated it. It's a good effort, isn't it? The motorcycles approach a junction coming up to a give-way line. So assuming at the moment that there's a rider and a pillion passenger, the two are deemed life-threatening injuries. Don't know whether they thought they were going to make the bend or the junction. But yeah, definitely some lock-up mark there. So obviously the rider's reacting using the brake, emergency braking. Seems to have lifted off here. But that mark goes right through to that grass on the curb. The wheel has picked up the grass and has ground it across this drop curb. And then we've got some grindings going in.
While these marks show the path the bike has taken, the damage reveals more.
Looking at the bike, you can see the actual forks and the wheel has been pushed back. The fork should be out that way, but they've actually been pushed to that angle. Oh yeah, the alloy's gone there, so that the impact has gone straight down through the bike. If it was a side impact or they went in on the side, they would be skewed out, but everything's just been pushed back right down through the line of the motorcycle.
And this is building a picture of exactly how it struck the wall.
Oh, he's gone at the post because of the metallic marks. So you've got like the handlebar and you've got the levers, which I would have said cause these marks. If the handlebar has hit that height as the bike is coming in, the rider hasn't slid the bike or the bike has dropped, the bike is still in an upright position. If the rider or the pillion passenger slides across the road surface, then you'll get abrasive marks on their clothing. You'll get fibres in the macro structure of the road surface. But I can't see anything, so again, it's indicating to me that as the bike has collided with the wall, it's stood up, it is still upright on its two wheels, with both rider and pillion passenger still on the bike. What's the width of that wall? You know, that's a good 1.5 foot wide, that wall, stone. He's going to stop something in his tracks, which he's done.
While there's clear evidence of the rider braking, components of his bike are also telling a story.
All the debris from the motorcycle is just concentrated, just stayed here. And then you've got damage on the tank. That'll be done by the rider's body. And you can see the friction marks here with the rubber and the leather, the black marks.
And Richie suspects he was also accelerating into the impact.
Rev counter is snapped off. The needle is stuck there. It's in the red on 12,500 revs. As a result of the collision, the rider then actually turns the throttle on. The wheel lifts, so there's no resistance on the wheel, so that's where you get a big high rev.
Which explains how the man on the rear of the bike has been so badly injured.
The back wheel of the bike will lift, so it's almost projecting the pillion passenger. And evidently there's blood there, so I'm assuming that they're thrown over that way.
The man wasn't wearing a helmet, nor any protective clothing. But it's a different story for the rider himself.
They've got some element of protective clothing on. Can't see a helmet at the moment, but sometimes if a helmet was worn, normally that goes with the casualty in the ambulance. It can indicate to a consultant maybe that's where the damage, or that's where the injury would be, you know, on the head. The time of this collision, when it was reported to us, it was 8 minutes past 1 in the morning, so at the time his hours of darkness. It's now, what, 20 past 5, and it's starting to get light. 5, 6, or 7 here. Potentially that is where the pillion passenger come to rest.
Clothing left here is thought to belong to the man who was riding the bike.
That's the rider's shoe.
But how can he be so sure?
So you've got the white markings on there. So that the shoe will be around that area. You've got the rub mark on there. On the shoe, you've got those for the square blocks. If you measure them up, there we are, they fit. So this shoulder here would create that rub mark there.
And as daylight brings a clearer view of the scene.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
It's also revealed some more hidden damage.
You see dot 4 on there? Brake fluid, yeah. The brake reservoir has become detached from the handlebars and lost its fluid as it's bouncing across the road surface. As it's been projected to here, the fluid has just covered the Mazda all over the paintwork. Brake fluid is quite corrosive, so it's going to damage the paintwork, that's for sure, and also maybe the soft top. Not good.
As evidence is captured with a 3D laser scanner, Richie's now using the data to create a virtual version of the crash scene.
There's a clear unobstructed view there to the right of the junction. You know, there's an open view that way. Quite clearly see, and it's quite an open junction. You know, being a local person as well, you know, they should know the area.
So if the rider is familiar with the junction, why has his journey ended in this way?
It transpired throughout the inquiry that CCTV became available from a camera facing down towards the road the motorcycle was travelling. As you can see, it's night time. We've got some illumination there from the street lights. You can see the lit road. The point of impact where the motorcycle has lost control and then collided with a wall is at this area here. What you do see is the flood of light from the motorcycle's headlight come from the right behind the hedgerow. And that's where the motorcycle has collided with the wall. We can't really see much on there then what has happened to the riders because of the darkness. There's no attempt to stop. No steer deviation, there's no deceleration in the bike that is slowing down or anything. The actual reaction of the brake then coming on and the wheels starting to lock up is very, very late. As you know, it's a matter of several meters, and you know, it's all too late then. A Yamaha R1 is a powerful motorcycle. It's one of those bikes that you could reach a high speed very, very quickly whilst just going up probably through the first, second, third gears. There's the view looking back down. It's quite an open road. There's plenty of opportunity there for a motorcyclist to open up the bike, attain a speed that is far too fast for that road, lead it into the junction ahead. Although we can't use this to calculate an accurate speed, in my experience, watching this on the CCTV, certainly the motorcycle is not travelling at 30 miles an hour.
But it's what can't be seen in the footage that also adds to this inquiry.
What we can say is that it was that vehicle on the road and no other vehicles at that moment in time. This is solely down to the rider and the pillion passenger. There's no other parties involved.
So was it just speed that caused the bike to lose control?
We know that evening that the rider of the motorcycle and the passenger, they'd both been out drinking. The rider, being the owner of the motorcycle, he'd only just purchased that bike very recently.
The 36-year-old rider was found to be almost twice the drink-drive limit. He'd also taken cocaine and ketamine.
He hasn't got a permitted license to ride it, and also therefore he's an inexperienced rider, not used to giving lifts or having a pillion passenger on the back of the motorcycle. Consuming alcohol, drugs, then getting on a powerful sports motorcycle. For the pillion passenger to jump on the back and with no helmet, that could have gone easily the wrong way.
The two men were treated for life-threatening injuries. They both survived the crash.
They could have been two deaths there at the scene. They are extremely lucky people.
The rider was charged with drink and drug driving, as well as using the bike without a license or insurance. But the case was discontinued, as the prosecution was no longer considered in the public interest.
Gwen, please. Thank you. Go on, caller. What's your emergency?
There's been a car accident and the car's completely smashed to bits. It is crumpled, so the people in it must be hurt.
What vehicles are involved? What injuries have we got, please?
We got a Citroen C3 that's hit a stationary vehicle. There's a female trapped in the Citroen passenger. Condition-wise, they've just said it's time critical at the moment.
This crash has happened on a 50-mile-an-hour stretch of road, close to the M48 motorway. And now air ambulance doctors are treating a seriously injured 32-year-old woman.
Alpha 1-6 and Alpha 1 off at scene.
And she's still in there, is she? She's out, but she's...
They're deciding whether they're going to take it by road or by air, but I think they're going to go with road.
Right. Obviously everything's still going on with the fire service and casualties still at scene, so that's the priority for us, is for assessing the scene, seeing what we've got. We've got to start asking the question, why is this happening?
The man driving the Citroen has escaped uninjured. He's been arrested and now faces questions. But the injured woman had to be cut free from the wreckage.
It's the roof. Fire service have cut it off, but it's interesting to see where the damage is on the roof line. That's the front right above the windscreen.
And the crew can explain more.
Didn't want to interrupt.
That's all right.
They took the roof off. It was cut high there. So you can see it was there and there.
Obviously they've cut the pillars, but peeled back as found?
Yeah.
All right.
The B post was completely severed.
Yeah.
That was done prior to us getting here for the accident. The B post on the near side.
Severed. So the B pillar's the middle one. But there. It's one of the most structural parts of the vehicle. So that being ripped off is quite significant.
The woman who is sitting here is now on her way to hospital.
The seatbelt's being ripped out.
And as they continue to find evidence of the huge forces involved in this crash.
So the airbags have deployed.
Bob has been joined by colleague Richie.
Look at that. You think how strong that is? Oh yeah, it's just been folded.
But could other parts of the car reveal even more about the impact?
That's the front door, is it? Ah, right.
Watch yourself, alright? That's just ripped the A-pillar there, look. Look at that. Yeah.
You know, that's your wing mirror basically. You would have the frame, which is obviously all this. It's all gnarled and squashed and pushed and forced to the rear of the vehicle. This is this part here would be the end of the door. Obviously the frame that contains the glass, the actual glass of the passenger door. And then between the doors, then inside internally in the vehicle, you would have the B pillar. You know, the point of a vehicle, you've got your A pillar and your B pillar, is the strength of the car. And you know, if the car rolls, these are supposed to stop the roof coming compressing in, you know, to give that cabin protection. I've never seen something like that happen in terms of the B pillar being pulled away from the chassis of the car. I bet it was a hell of a noise when that happened. Oh.
But to understand how the impact damage was caused, focus now turns to this lorry, which is parked in the lay-by.
I mean, it's gone a fair way under. If you look where the bumper is, I mean, that's how far the vehicle's gone underneath.
There's not a lot of room under there, is it? And that vehicle's managed to get under there.
There's clear evidence of where the vehicles have made contact. But analysis of the damage reveals more about the movement of the car during the collision.
The vehicle's gone under the truck that way, so the marks are lateral, so they're almost running parallel with the vehicle. So indicating that when the vehicle is then entered underneath the truck, it's probably almost in line with it. It's not coming in at an angle. Can't go any further because of the wheel. But then when it's exited, it's actually exited at an angle, so it's come back out rebounded, which is that mark there. Take some bending as well, wouldn't it? See all the markings going down. The actual vehicle coming together with the truck itself is all on the passenger side. It's highly concentrated here. The corner of the truck is actually intruded inside the vehicle. Even though the airbag's gone off. And I think something of that magnitude, an airbag is not really going to help, I don't think. It's quite horrific, actually.
It's scratching and stuff through here, but it's scratching everywhere in this lay-by.
But is there anything on the road surface to reveal the driver's actions in the lead-up to the crash?
There's no sign of emergency braking.
I think if he knew what he was doing, it'd be more of a reaction than that, wouldn't
it? So can they make sense of the few marks that they have found?
That's the back wheel coming in there, isn't it?
That's got to be where it's getting crushed underneath. It's just compressing.
You've got those gouges there, haven't you?
Yeah.
So they're going that way, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. As it's coming in, and then starts to rotate, that's the rear near side
compressing, and then it gets to that point, and then whoosh, whoosh.
He was in you, was he?
Yeah. I think he's on his break. It's like minding his own business, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he's close to the curb. He's not out in the carriageway.
He's doing everything legal, isn't he?
Yeah.
Would this be recording?
Is there one on the other side?
But this lorry could deliver some valuable evidence.
Would there be a rear camera? Gotta be, isn't there? Got a rear camera on you as well. We were looking at this camera thinking, if that's recording, then that would have captured everything. That's our golden ticket, really. The vehicle is parked up, the driver is sat in the cab, and almost out of nowhere, he's felt a collision on his vehicle. Causing the vehicle to move, shake.
So total bang to shunt it forward.
Yeah. That's looking back down the vehicle on each.
Back down it, but it should be the opposite.
Inverted, yeah, the other way around. If you look at the rear view. You could see that it was just a slight drift of the vehicle into the lay-by. The significant damage to the car was concentrated on the passenger side.
As the car disappears from view,
Let that play.
it's picked up by another camera.
See, the airbag's gone off, driver's airbag. The leading edge of the roof line has started to deform, and also the bonnet is starting to lift.
And then it kind of hooks it in, doesn't it?
And now it's starting to rotate. The tyre comes off the rim, doesn't it?
It's literally compressed as much as it can be there, isn't it? And then
it reforms.
And then reforms.
And they still need to know more about the actions of the driver.
So there's no marks at the scene to suggest the vehicle's braking, but what we can do is look at the brake light bulbs.
Any distortion to the filament of tungsten light bulbs can show if they were on at the time of a crash. As seen in examples here from a previous investigation.
So that's a normal filament, and that's a filament that's been on. The filament gets really hot when it's illuminated, becomes ductile, and then the shock of the impact causes it to stretch and retract.
We examined the brake lights of the Citroen. There was no deformation in the filament, which indicated to us that the brake lights were not activated at the time of the collision.
So if the driver wasn't braking, did he react in any way?
We quite clearly see it as a man driving. Was his hand on the bottom of the wheel?
His hand's on the bottom, isn't it? If your hands are on the steering wheel, you're going to steer first before your foot comes off the throttle to hit the brake pedal.
Just as the vehicle's connected, you could see, just looking at the hand movement on the driver, that his right hand is pulled down.
There's a slight deviation back out, but the very, very last kind of couple of milliseconds, really. You know, this input here, back out to the road, if this hadn't happened, it would have gone straight through here.
Yes.
Straight through where she sat.
she's centimetres away from taking the full brunt of that impact into the rear of the truck.
That doesn't really bear thinking about.
The driver said he'd taken his eyes off the road for a second as he looked across at directions on a phone that the passenger was holding.
He's probably just brought the steering down to his left because of the movement of the shoulders and looking down, and as a result has just caused that slight drift.
The 52-year-old man admitted driving without due care and attention. He was fined and banned from driving for 6 months.
Just to have that slight steered input has probably saved the life of the front seat passenger. Albeit she has sustained significant injuries. She's very, very, very fortunate.